Good morning. Welcome to Blockchain Brunch, where the alpha is fresh, the coffee is strong. I'm Emily, the crypto recruiter, and every week we dive into what's happening in the Web3 job market, the trends, the talent, and the truth behind who's actually hiring. I've got some good talking points there. Plus, I'll be doing resume audits so you can stop guessing and start interviewing because your resume shouldn't be the reason you're getting ghosted. Good morning, everybody. Leave me a comment. Tell me you're here. I'd love to say good morning to you. We are here every Wednesday from 10:30 Central to whenever. I do have, one thing to note. So twice a week, I'm doing group sessions. What do I mean by that? I mean, anybody is able to book a meeting with me to talk about their job hunt, or maybe there's a pain point or just questions in general. So if you haven't been able to get me on the line or I haven't responded to your message, at the top of my LinkedIn profile, it says book an appointment. Feel free to do so. We can chat. I can help. Unfortunately, there is only one of me and 50,000 of you, which I'm so grateful for. And I'd love to help where I can. So book a meeting. I mean, you don't have to. But if you need me, I'm here. I'm available. So let's dive into the crypto recruiters and what we are hiring for. Sound like a plan, Stan? So we've got 3 roles with an AI company based in New York. We have a founding engineer, a founding customer success manager, and a founding senior account executive. In Chicago, we've got a senior software engineer. This is on site in Fulton Market. In Toronto, I love working with Canadian companies. In Toronto, we've got a head of marketing, a head of customer success, and a head of product. That is for a crypto SaaS product to do with accounting. We also have in Stamford, Connecticut, on site 4 days a week, a platform associate and a venture investments lead. And then remote anywhere in the US, we have a senior software engineer. And then Pacific time zone, maybe Central, we have a head of products. This could be director, this could be VP, this could be senior VP. They are very flexible on the title. This is for a AI security company. So those are the roles that I have open. Why don't we talk a little bit about what's going on in the world? So I noticed Robinhood is heavily hiring for crypto-specific design and communication roles. It feels like they're pivotably moving from just buying coins to becoming a full-service crypto-native platform for the masses. So a couple roles they have open: a senior communications manager, a crypto design director, product managers for retail, tax, and performance. Nethermind is looking for a founding protocol engineer, specifically the intersection of AI and Web3. I think this is a clear sign that AI and crypto narrative is finally moving from white papers to actual protocol level infrastructure. So they're hiring that founding protocol engineer for Web3 and AI, smart contract auditors, and business development for security solutions. Now, finally, Anchorage Digital. Their hiring focus is almost entirely on regulated compliance and security operations right now. It shows that in 2026, compliance is a hurdle. It's the actual product the institutions are buying. So they are looking for a lead for regulated compliance programs, an engineering lead for security operations, and talent team leads. If anybody knows Anchorage, give them a shout. Let them know I can help them with their talent acquisition. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining in. For those of you that don't know, my name is Emily. I'm the crypto recruiter. I've been around for 6 years. I was actually one of the first crypto recruiters in the world, and the first woman to be in crypto recruiting, which is cool. So I am here to help people find jobs. I'm here to help my clients fill their teams, and I try to bring value where I can. So if you are looking for a job, let me know. I'd love to tell you, if we've got one open for you, or if there is someone in our network that is hiring for you. I also offer, like I said earlier, group sessions. Good morning. Hi. Group sessions. So if you'd like to get a hold of me, you have a specific question, I haven't gotten back to your message, book a call. You can join for 5 minutes. We can knock your question out. But I feel like a lot of us have a lot of the same questions. So it's kind of nice to sit in that group and listen to what everybody else is talking about, because you may have more than just one question and potentially forget and need to knock it out later. So that is what's going on in the world. We're seeing a lot of crypto jobs. I don't know if you guys know, Polygon just did a layoff. They laid off 60 employees all across the board. So we're definitely seeing some, because they just did a merger, or they just bought CoinMe. So they just did a layoff to integrate the two cultures. So we are going to be seeing some layoffs, but they're also hiring for 60 plus roles for the integration of both companies. So we're seeing layoffs, but we're also seeing scaling. I also think, between you and I, there's a lot of people out there that kind of oversell themselves. Why do I say this? I talk to them all day. I talk to people that are like, Emily, I am a developer with 20 years of experience in crypto. Okay. And they get these jobs and they don't perform well. So where a lot of people will say it's an organizational layoff, sometimes it's performance based. We see a lot of that, and then those people call me, and then it's a whole thing. So anyway, I'd love to do resume audits today. Let me throw up a banner. If you would like your resume to be audited, where is the banner? Show. Send it to me on Telegram. I'd love to pull up your resume, show the crowd, show you off a little bit, and also just help you position yourself to get more interviews, right? The problem is, and it's a problem, but it's also the truth of the matter, we live in the day of the age of AI, right? So AI is screening your resumes, junior recruiters, HR coordinators. You've really got to think about your audience. Who are the people that are actually reading our resumes when you submit them on the website, on LinkedIn? And these don't tend to be the hiring managers, right? As a hiring manager, they're doing hiring manager things. They are doing their job. They're doing the job of the open slot on their team, and then they're taking on recruiting. That's 3 jobs in one, because I do recruiting full time. That's 40 plus hours a week. So you've got to take into consideration, who does the company have in play to actually do that recruiting? And that tends to be the people making minimum wage to flip through resumes all day. So what does that mean? We have to set them up for success. Someone that is brand new to recruiting, someone that is brand new to crypto, may not know exactly what it is you do based off your resume. It could be too high level. It could be too specific. And so you want to position your resume so someone that has no experience in recruiting, no experience in hiring, no experience with what a protocol engineer is, they can understand where you bring value to a company. And I think that is a key to success. So having a clear resume where it is, here's who I am, here's what I do, here's what I've done. That's really the key to success here. Looks like it's a slow morning, which I'm fine with. I can just hang out here and yap by myself. But if you do have a question, leave me a note. Say hello. Say good morning. I'm checking my Telegram. I'm also looking at my text messages. Sorry. Multitasking. Multi-talented and multitasking is what I've been told. Let's get this up here. There we are. Okay. Beautiful, ladies and gentlemen. So some of you may not know this. I get really nervous for blockchain brunch, like every week. It's a whole situation. So just as much as, you enjoy these videos, just know I'm melting on the inside. I do love being here, but it always makes me so nervous, right? Like, what kind of questions are going to be thrown my way? What happens? Let's pull this up. What happens if the CV is clear, but we are junior and now they require 5 years of experience? What an excellent question. So let's talk a little bit about the company and what they need. When a company has an open job, they're looking to solve a problem. Do they necessarily need 5 years of experience? No, but they need someone that can make an immediate impact. So rather than highlighting your experience in your resume, or your years of experience in your resume, I would highlight where you solve the problems based off the job description. So do I want to tell you to edit your resume for every job you apply to? No. Does anybody want to do that? No, I don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. But you need to look at the required skills and the responsibilities and make sure that's reflected within your resume if you have that experience. Now, if you don't have that experience, I would highly encourage you to network your way in. There's a lot of companies that would be attracted to junior talent because of 2 reasons. One, they're coachable, right? There's this saying in recruiting and hiring that when you have too much experience, you have bad habits, right? You're used to doing one thing one way, and it's hard for you to transition to something new or to innovate. Is that necessarily true? No. Is that what people are thinking? Yes. So being junior, actually, sometimes you can have your advantage because that way the company can mold you to be exactly who they need you to be. So I think reaching out to hiring managers, reaching out to potential team members on LinkedIn, on Twitter, on Discord would be very beneficial in saying, hey, just being honest. Hey, I don't have 5 years of experience, but here's where I can make an impact. Would you consider my application? Something as simple as that, right? But you've got to put yourself out there. I was recently talking about, hold on one second, I'm getting a message. I was recently, hold on. Where was I even going with that? One second. Oh, okay, never mind. I was recently talking to someone that had 0 years of experience and got a job over someone that had more experience for one reason. They sent a thank you note. Wild, right? I also had someone that didn't know that you should send thank you notes after an interview. And a thank you note is not like, hey, thank you for your time. A thank you note is to jog the person's memory about your interview, right? So yes, it's a cordial, thank you for your time, but it's also like, hey, remember me and compare me to the other applicants. Think about it. When you go to a networking event and you meet 30 people, do you remember all 30 people? I know I don't. I do not remember all 30 people. So what you want to do is you want to make sure they remember who you are. They're meeting 30 to 40 people per job, right? If they don't have a really nailed down interview process. So we have to figure out a way for us to be memorable. The easiest way to do that, comment on something you built rapport over. You both worked at Microsoft. You both have dogs. You want to make it so when they read that thank you note, they're like, oh yeah, I remember meeting Joe Schmo. That was a really great interview. Because sometimes you can get lost in the shuffle. Now, here's a pro tip. If you are working with a recruiter and you are getting an interview request through a client of the recruiters, you want to get the middle slot. You don't want to be the first person to interview and you don't want to be the last person to interview. You want to be the middle slot. What does that mean? That means that the first person, they're still kind of figuring out what they want, right? The first person to interview, it's the hiring manager's first interview. They're asking a bunch of questions, but as the interviews progress, they're going to say, oh, you know what? I like Joe Schmo, but I'm actually looking for a little bit more of this. So in their second interview, they're going to ask some different questions to dig into a little bit more of what they're looking for, right? Now, by the time you're at the last interview, the final interview, sometimes they're tired. Sometimes they've already found the right person. So they're just taking the interview to take the interview. So you want to be the middle interviewer. You also want to make sure that you are, you're not like the last, because when you're the last, there's a possibility the interview gets canceled. So if you get someone's Calendly, don't pick the very next slot. Perhaps pick the next day in the middle of the day, unless they only have mornings available. What's going on here? Trey, we are at Blockchain Brunch. This is an opportunity for you to share your resume, get an audit, talk about the crypto job market. I'm here to help answer your questions in a mass format. So we can bring the most value that we can. There's only one of me. We've got a lot of people, not necessarily in this audience, but in my network in general. And this is my way of putting about an hour aside a week to answer some questions. And like I said, position resumes. So if you have a resume and you would like some help with it, send it my way. You are absolutely welcome. Happy to help. That's what I'm here for, guys, right? And there's no other crypto recruiter or maybe even any recruiter that does this. And that's not like a, I'm amazing. That's like a, hey, take advantage of this. Like, not a lot of us do this. Not a crypto guy trying to find a job, though. Very cool. Well, I am specific to crypto, but I would say if you are trying to find a job, first thing we need to do is beef up the resume, right? Make sure your resume really reflects exactly what you've done in the past, the value that you bring currently, and what it is you'd like to be doing. One of the things that people really struggle with is like transferable skills. Let's talk about transferable skills for a second. Your job, you may be a project manager, but you're not just a project manager, right? You could be doing product management. You could be doing PMO work. So on your resume, one of my favorite hacks, so we call it, is using dashes next to a title, right? So if you're an administrative assistant, but you're also running accounting, you could do administrative assistant dash accounting, right? So that's educating the reader. Hey, yes, formal title, administrative assistant, but actually I was doing this. Because when a junior person, the HR coordinator, junior recruiter, the people that are flipping through the resumes all day, when they're reading your resume, they're looking at three really important things. The first thing, the first sentence of your resume or the headline. That is telling me what you do and who you are and how many years of experience. If you are thinking about it, you want your first sentence to be project manager with 2+ years of experience in X, Y, and Z industry. Now, if you are, so that's the first thing they're reading is the first sentence of your resume. And then they're looking at job titles. They're looking at what your job title has been and then browsing the bullet points to look at responsibilities. But a junior recruiter really isn't paying that much attention. Now, am I telling you this because I want to ruin your day? No. I'm telling you this because I genuinely want you to set yourself up for success. If you know the junior recruiters are taking the easy way out, make it easy for them. So simplify your resume. And here's great, right? So you want to have a simple resume, but you also want to have a higher level resume. You want the simple resume to be the first resume that the entry level person that's reviewing resumes, which really shouldn't be the gatekeeper, that's here nor there. You want them to see the simple resume so they can understand it, right? One of my pro hacks is, when you get an interview request, you on like a calendar invite, it's sent from a email. So reply to that calendar invite before the interview and say, hey, I am so excited about meeting you later today, tomorrow, next week. I wanted to attach an updated copy of my resume. This is where you put in the more senior resume. And then you also say, I've been doing a lot of research on X, Y, and Z company. Congratulations on X, Y, and Z. I'll speak with you tomorrow. And then make sure your email, guys, has your contact information in it. I can't tell you how many people send me emails and it's just their first name. Put your phone number in there. So that way, let's say they want to extend you an offer and they're searching in their Outlook, they type in your name, your email's going to come up, right? When they click on your email, they're going to search for your phone number to call you to give you the offer. But if they can't find it, it just makes it a little more difficult. So I'm all about making things convenient, because if you make it convenient, the person is more likely to do it for you. Convenience is key. Hello, do cover letters work? Do recruiters read them if we explain our experience there? I've been doing recruiting for 10 years. I've been doing crypto recruiting for 6 years. I have had one hiring manager ask for a cover letter, and that was for a role that was hiring a journalist. It's the only cover letter it's ever been requested. So if you are putting a lot of effort into your cover letters, I wouldn't bother. And the reason why is everybody is just using templates for cover letters, so hiring managers aren't reading them. It's unfortunate, but that's just where we're at. So if you are writing cover letters and attaching them, they're likely not getting read. Now, if the cover letter is required, still probably not getting read, just the honest truth. And you know what's interesting? There's a lot of people that don't want the truth. They just want the fluff. But I'm going to give you the truth. I'm going to give you the cold hard. Here's what's going on. Here's what you're going to like. Here's what you're not going to like. Truth. And if you don't like that, please leave, because I don't need to get yelled at for setting you up for success. So sometimes the truth is difficult. Let's all be adults and either take the information or don't. Either is fine with me. But cover letters, in my opinion, and in all of my experience, have never been read. So I would spend more of your time on the resume and customizing it to the job description. Now, guys, you don't just want to copy and paste the job responsibilities in your resume, right? That's just a clear copy and paste. But you do want to be able to touch on them. So if someone's saying, 5+ years of experience with Excel, you want to put in there that you do pivot tables, right? That's hinting, hey, BT dubs, I am confident with Excel. You can put in there 5+ years of experience with Microsoft Office. You can put in there, it's kind of a poor example. You can put in there 5+ years of experience with Excel Maybe you have more, up that number. Now, the key to success is not going beyond 10 years on a resume. So companies are rarely looking for people that have 15, 20, 13 plus years. You'll notice in a lot of job descriptions, it's asking for 5, 8 to 10 years, 10 plus years. So on your resume, instead of putting 20 plus years of experience with X, Y, and Z, put 10 plus years of experience with X, Y, and Z. And your resume should only go back 10 years. Why? Think about it. If you were working at Microsoft 12 years ago, is Microsoft using the same technology that they were using 12 years ago? We'll use project management for an example, right? Everything used to be waterfall. Now it's agile, right? So your resume focusing on your work with waterfall isn't super relevant. So let's just leave it off, right? The concepts, the technology, the thought processes aren't the same as they were 10 years ago. So they're more focused on like, what have you been doing recently versus what are your roots? Now, if you worked at some really incredible names and you don't want to lose that on your resume, you can have additional experience at the end of your resume. And then you can put in like Microsoft, Google, whatever. And you can just put the company names and the title, leave off years because that's going to date you. Got a lot of people here from YouTube, which is fabulous. Anybody here from LinkedIn? Our meat and potatoes, our main people? Love it, but also just curious where everybody's signing in from. Let me check Telegram, make sure we haven't gotten any resumes. None yet. You know what I love? I just started using it a couple months ago, the Opera browser. It's got a little extension on the side for Telegram and WhatsApp and ChatGPT and TikTok and Twitter. I think it's really very helpful. It makes things much easier to navigate. So pro tip, Opera browser. Love it. So you're saying, let me pull this comment up. So you're saying we should tailor the CV for each job application by adding specific experience inside the CV. Takes a lot of time and versions. Absolutely it does. I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's easy, right? I do this all day long. I do think that you should tailor the CV for each job, adding specific examples inside the CV. That's going to be your key to success, right? Think about it. You're applying for a job where hundreds of other people are applying. You have to separate yourself. It's just one of those things. It has to be done, especially because we live in the world of AI. Does it take a lot of time? Yeah, it takes a lot of time. Is it annoying? Yeah, it's really annoying. But go back to who is your audience? Who are the people reading your resume? And I think I gave this example last time, but I'll give you the same example. So I was talking to Coinbase, a recruiter at Coinbase, and they had asked me, what do you think of this stable coin, Bitcoin? I froze for a second because I was like, I didn't know Bitcoin was a stable coin. And she was like, yeah, it's the most well-known one. And I was like, oh. So what I'm trying to get across is like, these people don't know. These junior recruiters, these HR coordinators, whether it's in crypto or not, they don't know. So you have to basically, for lack of a better word, stupid proof your resume. Let's talk about recruiters for a second. What you're dealing with. So most not me, but most recruiters. Most recruiters are hired right out of college. It's not a job that requires a degree. It's not a job that's like super technical. Basically what happens is you're recruited, out of college or not, and you're told, hey, here's basic training. Here's a keyword matching system. Here's kind of what this means. But how recruiters are trained is they're told, get on the phone with someone and ask them what they do. Ask them to explain their resume to you. 9 times out of 10, this is how recruiters are taught. Is it wrong? Yes. Is it what happens? Yes. So let's take this information and use it to our, oh my God, what a morning. Use it to our benefit. So understanding that these recruiters have really no experience doing what they're doing and they're kind of learning on the fly, we have to make it convenient and easy for them to be able to identify you as the right fit for the job. So as difficult, as annoying and difficult as it is to update each resume, you want to hyper target your job postings. You don't need to apply to 100 jobs. You can apply to 5 to 7, really target your resume, do the additional reach out and the networking and secure one of those positions rather than applying to 200 jobs and updating 200 resumes. A lot of questions that I get are regarding AI and resumes. I think AI is totally fine to use as a resume on your resume, but it shouldn't like write out the whole resume. It should be used for ideation. It should be used for correcting punctuation, but you want to basically build off AI using your own words. It's very easy to tell when someone's used AI in a resume. You know, those M dashes get you every time. Another pro tip is if you're currently in a role, it should be present tense. Crafts, marketing narratives, designs, graphic for marketing materials, right? If you're no longer in a role, you want to make it past tense. Designed graphics for marketing department, right? Designed, not designs. So if you're currently in a role, make it present tense. If you're no longer in that role, make it past tense. So just a quick pro tip. And then don't forget, guys, contact information. I have some people like hide their contact information on their resume. They'll put it on the left in a little box, or they'll put it at the bottom in the footer. Make sure it's right up front and center. There have been plenty of resumes where I've looked and I'm like, how do I call this person? And it's like their phone number is in like light gray in the banner or in the bottom of their resume. And it's like, guys, I want to call you and I want to call you quickly. There's also job boards that you can utilize. You can upload your resume to. Indeed, Monster, Career Builder. Recruiters will use these sites to find resumes. Now, let's talk about the two different types of recruiters. There are internal recruiters and there are external recruiters. Internal recruiters work specifically for one company. So they work for company X, Y, and Z. They support the internal team and they only recruit for that company. External recruiters like myself, we work for multiple companies. We work for multiple clients. I have over 100 clients in the crypto, blockchain, Web3, AI space. So I represent a ton of different jobs. So that being said, let's talk about what each recruiter is motivated by. Internal recruiters are motivated by their internal team, their internal metrics, keeping their job, right? If they're not recruiting, if they're not filling the jobs, they're not going to be employed. External recruiters like myself, we don't make revenue unless we fill our clients' open jobs. So we're more motivated by revenue. Now, both recruiters are motivated by speed, right? They've got a hiring manager that really needs this person, so they've got to get it done quickly. So that's where I'm encouraging people, make things convenient, because if it's convenient, it's much easier to just pick up the phone and get it done versus hunting for things. Paulo, I love the questions. Thanks for being here. So how many bullet points on each position are okay to describe our experience? Are bullet points better than paragraphs explaining what we did? Beautiful question. So you can have anywhere between 5 to 7 bullet points per job, right? 5 to 7 should give enough information to encompass really what you accomplished. Now, you don't want your resume to go beyond 2 pages. A 3-page resume kind of sends the signal that you can't summarize. Is that true? No. Is that feedback I've gotten over the last 10 years? Yes. So keep it under 2 pages. You don't want to put paragraphs because big chunks of text, they're hard to read. They're hard to skim. Bullet points, much easier to read. Remember, you're getting 3 to 30 seconds to make an impression on a resume. That's all you get, 3 to 30 seconds. So that's where it goes back to the hard truth. What is the person reading when they come to your resume? And that is the summary, the first sentence of the summary. Title with years of experience in X, Y, and Z industry, right? Second thing they're reading, job titles. Don't forget, you can use a dash on your job title to educate the reader about your additional experience. We mentioned earlier, right? You're a graphic designer, but you're also running marketing. You could do graphic designer dash marketing lead. So first sentence of your resume, titles, and they're also looking at dates. It is important to companies to find people that are going to stay at their company for a long time. So if you have a resume that's 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, it's going to be harder to find a job because the company's worried that you're not going to stay for a long time. And they're going to invest training and onboarding, and then you're just going to leave. So they are paying attention to dates, how long you've been at each company. So make sure those are highlighted and don't leave dates off your resume. That's something people are looking for. I used to work for companies like Discover Card and Amex. They always wanted months and years on a resume. So don't just put years, put months and years so they can see the trajectory of your growth, or they can see the progression of your growth within a firm. Oh, also, if you've worked multiple positions in a firm, let's say you're chief operating officer for the last 6 years, right? You've probably grown. You haven't been the COO for 6 years. You probably started as operations manager, moved up to director, moved up to senior VP, and then chief operating officer. Show that progression within your resume. Dates to the very right, title, different descriptions underneath each title to show, like, hey, here's how my responsibilities increased. Christine, do companies use AI job scan? If yeah, what job scan they use for ATS? Thank you. Oh God, there's millions. There's so many different AI to use to scan. I would say every applicant tracking system has some sort of AI built in. So that's really hard for me to tell. Like, because there's so many ATSs and HRISs out there, like Greenhouse, Cats, Bullhorn. There's just so many different ones. So I would just, come with the thought that they are using AI, and use AI, use ChatGPT, throw your resume in ChatGPT. Hey, how close of a match am I on paper to this job description? And use some of its suggestions within your resume. I'm so glad you guys have good questions, and we're just rocking and rolling this morning, banging them out. Let's get them done. Let's solve these pain points, solve these problems. Hold on one second, guys. I'm just getting a text message. Okay. Okay, Doke, Arte, Choke. Let's run through jobs one more time, what we have opening and what we're hiring for. So in New York, on site in FIDI for an AI company, we've got a founding engineer, a founding customer success manager, and a founding senior account executive. In Chicago, Fulton Market, we've got a senior software engineer. In Toronto, we've got a head of marketing, another head of customer success, and a head of product. In Stamford, Connecticut, 4 days a week on site, platform associate, venture investment lead, remote United States, senior software engineer. And then on Pacific time zone, maybe Central, we might be able to get away with Central. We've got a head of product for an AI security company. Those are the jobs that I currently have open. We should have a couple more coming up. But that's what I got going on right now. What else can we talk about today, guys? Anybody have any other questions? I will note that twice a week, I host group meetings about people's job hunts. So I can't do private one-on-ones. There's only one of me. So what I've done is at the very top of my profile, there's book an appointment on LinkedIn. You are more than welcome to book an appointment multiple times if needed to come ask your questions. Hello. So is it helpful to use exact match of the role they are looking for in our CVs as a keyword be matched by the AI bot by recruiter? So you don't want to use like the exact verbiage. That's just a clear copy and paste. Oh, I mean the exact name of the role with a different name. Okay, makes sense. So it depends. If you're currently doing that job, then yes, you can add a little dash after your formal title to expand on your responsibilities, right? So if you are a graphic designer, let's use a different. If you are a developer, but you're also doing blockchain development, but your title is not blockchain developer, you can put developer dash blockchain developer, right? Educating the reader. Hey, I am a blockchain developer. That is why I'm doing it at my company, even though my title is only developer, right? And the reason that that's important is you get 3 to 30 seconds to make that impression. So if they're scanning for 3 seconds and they just see developer, they just see engineer, they're going to skip right over it. I hope that helps. Hello. All righty, Diety. Interesting. So I hope that is educational as to what you should do on your resume. But again, you have to have the experience. Don't lie on a resume. That does nothing for you. That is easy to catch. And everything's documented these days. So there's no more printed resume, writing notes on a resume. There is applicant tracking system. Notes are being typed in and people can revisit those notes. So if you apply to a job and you interview for that job, those notes are written down. So if you interview for a different job a year later, they can go back and review those old notes. So just keep in mind, everything is being tracked, including your applications. So one thing that's interesting, oh, thank you so much. Oh, this just made my day. This makes sense. Thanks. You're fantastic and helpful. We love you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Let's go back to applicants and being tracked. So on LinkedIn, if you apply to a job at a company, it will track every application beyond that. What do I mean? You're an administrative assistant. You apply to an administrative assistant a job in January. Great. February comes along and now there's a senior executive assistant job. You apply to that. Great. I can see that you also applied to a different job in January. So let's say July comes around and there's a new job and you apply to that job. I now see that you've applied to all 3 jobs over X period of time. Now that question sometimes that can leave a little bit of a question sometimes, right? So that question could be, why is this person still looking for a job? Why are they applying so many times? And that can be really tough because it's like, is something wrong? Are they still employed? What's going on? It leaves a question mark, and you don't want to have someone have a question when looking at your application, right? So one of the common practices in the United States, I don't know about Europe, I don't know internationally, but in the United States, it's very common to leave something on as present within your resume. So leaving on, if you're no longer in a role, still leaving on as present, because it's always easier to find a job when you have a job. Now, it's really important that you update that resume when you get the interview. You don't want to go into an interview and then say, oh, by the way, I'm not in that position anymore. You want to make sure that right before the interview, you send that pre-thank you note saying, hey, hey, really excited for the interview. Here's an updated copy of my resume. So that way there's not that awkward time where it's like, you're not currently employed, so it looks like you've lied on a resume. So you can always say, hey, it's an older resume, massage that a little bit. But hello, I'm so glad we could help. Thank you for coming. Anything we can do, absolutely happy to help. Sorry, hold on. All right. Well, my friends, any other questions before we wrap up? I've got a couple calls to get to. We've got that group call today. So if you're looking to if you're looking to schedule a group call, you're more than welcome to. The link's at the top of my profile. I've been doing this for 6 years. I've made over 400 placements. Happy to help you succeed. And if I can make an impact, great. If I can set you up for success in your job hunt, great. Let's get it done. All right, guys. We'll see you soon. Thank you.